Hello and a warm welcome to another edition of To The Point. Make in Maharashtra and Mumbai next are the visions which are marketed before the policy makers, domestic and foreign investors. But a few recent decisions which have been taken by the state government, like the beef ban, scrapping of the Muslim quota in education and jobs, have invited criticism from across the sectors. But there is one person who is doing the tightrope walk of balancing between these controversies and his enlarged vision for Maharashtra's progress. I welcome Chief Minister Devender Phadnavis on To The Point. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Phadnavis, let me begin by asking you a very controversial decision which was taken, and people across the country, they are talking about it, and that is the beef ban which you implemented. Of course, there has been a legislative precedent to it, but what was the urgency basically?
See, there are two things. One is, to call it beef ban is very insensitive. It's not beef ban. It's a ban on slaughter of cow progeny.
Okay.
And that is part of the directive principle of state policy as envisaged by the Constitution of India.
But why do you say that it's insensitive to talk about the beef ban?
See, there is difference between beef and slaughter of cow progeny. Slaughter of, what we are trying to protect is the cow progeny. We are not banning the beef.
No, but the law says that possession and sale of beef is also banned under that law.
Yes, it is. But basically, law is to protect the cow progeny. If you look at the preamble of the law.
You're talking about MAPA, right?
Yes. And let me tell you, it has nothing to do with just religion.
But it was restricted to the cows, and now you've extended it to calves.
No. I did not change a single word of the law.
Why is there an impression that probably Mr. Phadnavis is trying to spread a kind of a vegetarianism, a vegetarian ideology? You know, that's the kind of impression which people are getting.
See, I myself am not a vegetarian.
Okay.
I eat non-veg as well. But vegetarianism is accepted by few people. My government will never impose.
But sir, the opposition parties have also been saying that, you know, through this ban order, probably you are trying to reinforce the RSS agenda. Look, you implemented it. Then we saw another replication in Haryana where Manohar Lal Khattar is also there.
What I am trying to reinforce is the agenda mandated by the Constitution.
Okay.
The directive principles of the state policy in the Constitution mandates that the cow slaughter should be banned. So it's not Hindu agenda. It's not RSS agenda. It is agenda of the Constitution.
But sir, how are you going to deal with the economic fallout, the tanneries, the people associated with the slaughter trade? There's a huge ramification happening. How are you really tackling with this problem?
See, one thing is there. It's not just the cow or cow progeny. You have buffaloes.
Right.
There are n number of animals which they have been using in the tannery. So they can still use it.
Are you giving the larger message that probably it will not be restricted to cows? I was reading somewhere that probably you would extend it to other animals like goats, etc.
How can I? And why should I? The basic problem is, in this country, people spread such things unnecessarily and create a vicious atmosphere.
So in Delhi corridors, you know, there's a heavy buzz that probably this decision was taken to appease allies like Shiv Sena, who continuously keep blowing hot and cold. Is there any truth in that substance? I'm just trying to...
Once again, I want to tell you, this decision has been taken to follow the directive principles of the state policy as mandated by the Constitution of India.
Okay, agreed. But sir, I'll just take you to another question related to Shiv Sena, and that is that people say, or rather there is an impression that BJP, the state BJP government, probably is more wary of Shiv Sena than the opposition party. Would you really accept this perception which is coming?
I don't know who creates such perception. Shiv Sena and BJP are running a government. We are into alliance. We are doing well. There is a good coordination. On 1-2 issues, there have been certain difference of opinion, but immediately we sorted it out.
But so you don't believe that somehow there is an inherent feeling within Shiv Sena that they don't want to play the second fiddle to BJP, and that is why, you know, they keep showing their dominance time and again, whether it's the agrarian crisis or it's related to Vidarbha farmers or whatever it is.
I don't think so. And we also don't want them to play second fiddle.
Okay.
It's not about second and... See, we are the single largest party.
Right.
We got 123 seats. So, we are going to lead the coalition.
As long as the relationship is working fine, nobody talks about it. But somehow, you know, the media gets that point of uneasiness and they start talking about it. But anyways, I will accept your point, what you're saying. And I will take you to another decision which was taken by your government, and that was scrapping of the quota percentage of Muslims in education and jobs. Was the timing really right? I mean, why did you have to go into a decision like that?
We did not scrap it.
Okay. So what is the confusion?
Let me tell you. The earlier government, which was there in office for 15 years,
right,
did not thought of giving reservations to Muslim for 15 years.
Right.
It was only when they got routed in the Lok Sabha election, they felt that now they need to play the vote bank politics.
Right.
So they did not create a law. They came out with an ordinance.
But so what about upholding the quota for the Marathas despite
Maratha
the
is not a religion? Is it religion?
No, it's not.
So, they can be given.
No, but scrapping the Muslim quota and upholding the Marathas.
It's not scrapped. Let me tell you, it's not scrapped.
Okay.
So, the ordinance got lapsed. It was not translated into act. Why it was not translated? It was not translated because time and again, the Supreme Court has mandated that there cannot be reservation on the basis of religion. So it was just vote bank politics, a vote bank gimmick by the Congress to appease the Muslims.
If Congress was into minority appeasement, but after this decision, BJP was seen as a party which was anti-Muslim. So what are you really doing to assuage the fears of the minorities at this point of time?
One thing is that now Muslims also understand. They also know that they have been used as a vote bank by Congress. Congress has totally lost the faith of Muslims. Now we are trying to create a sense of faith amongst minorities. We have increased the allocation.
But what about a representation by the minority, maybe a minister or...
That will come in due course. And let me ask you, if even in the last government, there was a representation of a minority, did the minority got benefit? They did not. So it's not about representation. At due course, we will also give the representation. That's not an issue.
But sir, another criticism which is coming, and that is on your working style. You know, people, we've seen you over the years, the way you functioned as a leader of the in the opposition, the way you've raked up issues related to corruption. But now, since you are on the driver's seat, people say that your style of governance is more or less autocratic. And the basic example which everybody is citing is of the 42 transfers which were done of the officials. What is really happening on the transfer industry? I mean, are you trying to really curb the political interference as far as transfer of the police officials, the IS officials, they are concerned?
It's not about autocracy.
Okay.
It's about institutionalization of processes. What I did was, at the first instance, I amended the Police Act.
Right.
I've got a new act passed, wherein I have decentralized the powers to transfer.
Okay.
The case was, for example, a SP did not even have a power to transfer a constable. Then why would constable listen to him? We
heard various names of your own ministers in your own government who were cribbing that their own officers have been transferred, and you know they are not very comfortable with working with the new officers.
See, that's not a case. Okay. Everybody has supported the decision, and I've told everybody that choices of people is unwarranted.
Probably, and you have to wield the iron hand if probably you have to get things done. Mr. Phadnavis, I'll have to take a break here. When we come back, we talk to Mr. Phadnavis on the infrastructure projects of Mumbai. Back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching To The Point with Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devender Phadnavis. Mr. Phadnavis, this Mumbai Next and Make in Maharashtra campaign, which is being hugely talked about. But why would an investor, if a domestic investor or a foreign investor wants to come into Maharashtra, would you give me two substantive reasons why an investor would come to Maharashtra? And
see, it's because, first thing, Maharashtra is one of the most industrialized states of India. It contributes 15% to the national GDP. 30% of the exports are done from Maharashtra. 30% of the FDI comes to Maharashtra.
But sir, these are all old facts.
No,
What is the new window to an investor which you have
I'm
given?
telling you.
Right.
So, there is entire ecosystem created in Maharashtra. What was lacking for last 5-10 years was an atmosphere, was an ease to do business. That's what we have promoted. So, we have brought down number of permissions, we have simplified the entire regulatory framework, we have simplified the permission regime.
So you basically cut down on the permission Raj. But when the investor comes into Maharashtra, the problem of land acquisition still prevails. So how would you really convince an investor at this point of time when probably the decisions have not been taken on land acquisition?
See, as of now, we have good land bank. But just to give an example, I went to Germany and one of the IT companies, they just show some interest in expanding their operations at Pune, Hinjewadi.
Right.
Then and there, we gave them letter of intent for 2 acres of land.
Okay.
And now they are coming, they are starting it and employing more than 2,000 people.
This takes me to a larger question, which I want to know from you. The model which you are talking about, that you will use the existing land banks, which have already been there. Couldn't this model have been, replicated across the country? Because we are talking about a new land acquisition bill, which probably is started to be pro-industry and anti-farmer. I'm not going into those technical details, but the BJP government at the center could have thought of the same formula and probably used the existing land bank.
80% of the land has been acquired for irrigation projects.
Yeah.
10% of the land has been acquired for the projects of government, and only 10% land has been acquired for either industries or for certain other projects. So, I think that that's an entire separate issue. It has been politicized for no reason.
In fact, all the ministers are going out to the field, convincing the farmers, and that's a job of probably of the central government to bring about a proper balance between the industry and the farmers. I'm not getting into that, but so bringing you back, to the issues of campaigns like Mumbai Next. Talking about specifically about Mumbai, you have multiplicity of agencies, more than 20 agencies which are still working under various heads. How are you really coordinating the work? There was a rumor that probably a CEO will come up in Mumbai. Are you really serious about getting a CEO appointed?
No, it's not about CEO. See, we have constitutionally elected authorities in Mumbai.
Right.
Why should we supersede them?
Okay.
It is about the coordination of agencies. So what I have done...
So was it a rumor what we heard in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. I have clarified it so many times that Mumbai doesn't need a CEO. Mumbai needs an officer who sits into the Mantralaya, Secretariat, and needs to coordinate.
Right.
Only thing which I have done and which is now showing its result, I have opened a office, a task force in my a war room in my office. This war room looks into the critical projects and coordinates all the departments, and I myself monitor it. Yes.
Okay. So another controversial decision in context with Make in Maharashtra, which was coming up, and that was scrapping of the river regulation zone policy. Environmentalists have been making a hue and cry about it, that now there will be a lot of industries or probably infrastructure projects coming up within 2 kilometers of the river basin. Why was this decision basic? I mean, what was the urgency behind this decision?
See, when people talk, and especially those environmentalists who have been criticizing it, I feel pity when they talk without understanding the facts, without reading the policy, without reading the law.
Okay.
See, there is a central law already in force which mandates a distance to be kept for a polluting industry, for a non-polluting industry, from the river.
Okay.
Now, our state government in 2004 came up with a policy that from a notified river, not all rivers,
Okay.
from a notified river, this would be distances. And then what happened? I will give, there are many examples. What happened? The Nagpur MIDC or the Roha MIDC, which was there in place for last 50 years, in one day became illegal because of some existing river which was falling in a distance of 1 kilometer from these existing MIDCs.
Okay.
So, the previous government, once they have created a policy, they should have acted on it, but they understood that they have done it wrongly because the existing MIDCs will have to be scrapped.
You mean to say that environmentalists have not been able to
No.
differentiate between a polluting and a non-polluting industry?
So what happened? We thought that okay, we will change the categories, and for non-polluting industries we will change the category. So we went to the Law and Judiciary Department and we told them that look, we want to do this, so give your opinion. Law and Judiciary Department on file opined that the policy which is created by the government is ultra vires. It has no competence to create this policy because central policy is already there.
Okay. So another report which I'm going to talk to you about is the McKinsey report, which says that Mumbai needs about $9 billion, to bridge the gap of the infrastructure deficit. Where are you really going to get the money from? Are you hoping to get money from the various agencies, land monetization? From where are you going to really get it?
See, I think getting money is not a problem.
Okay.
For a city like Mumbai, you can, right now I have started initiatives of 1 lakh crore. Okay. See, my 3 metros are more than 50,000 crores. My Trans Harbour Link, various my infrastructure projects, if you put them together, it would go to 1 lakh crore.
The entire perception of infrastructure deficit in Maharashtra, is it a hogwash, or what people are talking about?
I don't say that. See, yes, there is a infrastructure deficit in Maharashtra, and we did not invest the way we should have been. But that is because of governance. That's not because of money. That's because of the governance problem.
And that you are trying to change through e-governance.
Yes.
But so when you talk about e-governance, I mean, it's a move which has been lauded heavily by across sections of the people, even political parties are talking about. But at the same time, your own opposition parties in the state, they call your sarkar as Twitter sarkar, Ghoshna Baz sarkar, they are coming up with phrases like these. So do you admit to the fact that somewhere you are trying to overemphasize the stress?
I think that it's not anything else than their frustration which is talking like this. They are frustrated. They are voted out. 15 years they have been in power and they have misused power like anything. And now when they see that things are changing so fast, they have no face to show people, because people are asking them, 15 years, why you couldn't do it, which this government is doing in 4-5 years. See, you need to connect to people.
So you're not getting affected by all these.
Not at all. I know them well, more than they know themselves. So let me tell you, it's about connecting people. So if I write something on Twitter, does that mean that I have stopped talking on television? Does that mean I have stopped reacting in a newspaper or talking in a newspaper? You have new mediums which are probably reaching directly to the people. So why shouldn't you use it?
But and this is causing a lot of heartburn.
That's fine. That's fine. Those, see, you have to move ahead with the technology, with the changing ethos.
Which probably the opposition has not been able to do.
They could not do it. That's why they are thrown out.
Right. So taking you to the agrarian crisis of Maharashtra, which again is, you yourself have said, is the most serious problem and the most challenging part of dealing with Maharashtra's governance. You've been talking about making Maharashtra drought-free, but you have already started measures, in this direction. But on the ground, when we go, farmers, they have a feeling that, all this is on paper and the reality is not actually coming towards them. Why is that feeling?
See, it is a
because suicides still continue unabated.
It is a trust deficit.
Okay.
15 years, government announced packages,
right,
and the packages never reached them. all the money, all the packages spent on the farmers went to the political class of the ruling community. And it's not just an allegation by me, it is substantiated by the CAG. So there is huge trust deficit, and that is the area of concern. We need to create trust in people that government wants to work for them.
But so when you're reaching out compensation to the farmers, are you ensuring that it's a one-time compensation? Because in other states I have seen, I was on the ground, doing a program on land acquisition bill. Farmers had just one refrain, and that was that the compensation was not given to them in one go. It was given to them in installments. Sometimes it wasn't given. So which is why, there was so much of mistrust.
In our case, this year, the drought affected farmers, we deposited money directly in their bank accounts.
The entire amount?
Entire amount. Okay. And let me tell you, 70 lakh bank accounts.
Okay.
It's a record, it's a huge number. Okay. Directly went to 70 lakh bank accounts. So basically what we are trying to do is, we are trying to create a trust. And now, how are we trying to make Maharashtra drought free? See, Maharashtra has its own strengths and weaknesses. It has a irrigation potential which to the optimum can be achieved up to 40%, not more than that. So 40 to 45% of the state can get flow irrigation. Right. What about the 60%? We never planned. And for this 40%,
so is that the reason why you're moving away from the big dam projects towards
so
the smaller projects?
It's not just moving away. We are doing both the things. So on one hand, we are trying to complete those big irrigation projects which are necessary and which can be completed, and which are not just mere spending the money for the benefit of contractors.
So it's a move towards decentralizing the irrigation system.
So what we did is, there were 14 different schemes of water conservation going on in our government, 6 of which were central sponsored, few of were state sponsored. So we converged all the schemes, the convergence of schemes, convergence of the command, and supplement it with the budgetary grant. Okay. This entire plan was made Jalayukta Shivar, wherein we are trying to do a case that every village is a water self-sufficient village, whatever rainfall they have.
So from what you're saying, the mechanism you're talking about, probably if next year if I come to Maharashtra, I'll be hearing of lesser farmer suicides.
I hope so. I hope so. Earlier also packages came, but since there was no vulnerability mapping, it did not reach the vulnerable.
Right.
When I went to Yavatmal and I met the families wherein somebody has committed suicide, it's 8 years and still they don't have a single well. So how would they prosper? How would they make do gainful cultivation? It's not possible.
So at the moment, at least it's sounding like a robust mechanism which probably would help the farmers.
Yeah.
But coming to Vidarbha, the separate statehood of Vidarbha, it continues to remain an Achilles heel for the BJP and the people of Vidarbha. How are you really pressing the statehood demand? I mean, are you really seriously thinking of, because when you were in the opposition, you were a strong votary of a separate state of Vidarbha. What is happening right now?
It's not about me. It's about my party. And my party supports small states. My party believes.
That's an in principle.
My party believes that small states are model of development.
Right.
My party created 3 states and all the 3 states have prospered. And that is why my party has also supported demand of Vidarbha. Now, if we have to
create... So why is there a delay?
See, if we have to create a separate state, it's not the state government which can create a separate state.
Right.
It is the central government which has to come up with a bill, a legislation in their parliament. So at appropriate time, my party will take a call.
But sir, forming a separate state is also a political decision, whether parties accept it or not, what we saw in Telangana. People in Maharashtra also say that your ally Shiv Sena is against that decision, and probably it's a matter of a political convenience, that probably you don't want to take that decision. How?
See, Shiv Sena has always been against it. We have always supported it. In spite of that, we have been in alliance for 25 years. So that doesn't matter. At proper time, my party will take.
So even if you have to annoy the Shiv Sena, you will go ahead whenever the time comes.
It's not about annoying anybody. every decision which you take is supported by few and opposed by few.
Okay, time will show what the decision taken is on Vidarbha. But sir, one last question before we wind up, and that is on a lighter tone. You're known as a man who deals with the problems, you know, through the 2,000 lyrics of songs which you know. At the moment when you are talking about the larger problems of Maharashtra, are you still, you know, going on those lines, murmuring those lyrics? What is that one lyric probably you would remember when you talk about the problems of Maharashtra?
Right now, I want to, sing is, इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phadnavis, for coming on To The Point. It was a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So that's it on this episode of To The Point. See you next